Okay, this is part 2 of the R. Kelly thing. The R. Kelly scandal. I think that's what I will title this, the R. Kelly scandal. So there were a couple of things I wanted to address in the first video that I did not, because it was getting kind of long. I really don't like to make them too long, but that was going on 30 minutes and I didn't want to make it any longer. So I just broke it up. So anyway, you can go back and watch that video if you want to. I basically go into using the R. Kelly scandal to show how we have to use better judgment in things, not only as people, but especially as Christians, how to judge situations. So, but there are a couple of points that I wanted to bring out within that, which is, the first thing is about the truth. I talk about, in that video, how you can't be biased. What has to stand above all is right and wrong. And usually, most of the time, that right and wrong should be rooted in the Bible. Other people have their own definitions of right and wrong, but I go by the Bible. If anybody else is going by anything else, especially their opinion, I wouldn't really pay much attention, because that's a whole nother conversation anyway. I would just say I choose to use the Bible as my guide for what's right and wrong. Anybody who is using their own mind and their own opinion for a guide for what's right and wrong, I can promise you, you are more than likely wrong, because our understanding and our minds are limited. We do not have the mental capacity to judge what is right and wrong, because we don't know everything. So we can't accurately judge right and wrong based on our single solitary brain. There has to be a higher understanding, a higher source of information to go to judge those things, because we just don't have enough information to make those conclusions. So that's my view on that. So but what I want to point to is about being biased. In the black community, and this is what this video is going to be about, more so some issues in the black community that I have noticed with the escalation of this R. Kelly scandal. I have seen a lot of comments on social media about people going after R. Kelly because he's black. They even compare him to, what's the guy who does the Playboy thing, that he lived in a mansion with all those girls? Oh, they didn't go after Hugh Hefner, so why are they going after R. Kelly? The same thing happened with OJ. Oh, white people have been killing black people all this time. And I think this is awful. Like, I don't understand what people's thinking is about that. And I've even heard some people question this on social media, especially with a lot of the Me Too movement and things like that coming out. It's becoming this divide between black and white as opposed to right and wrong. Oh, of course, I forgot to mention Bill Cosby. And then there has been, some stuff about Michael Jackson. I guess Oprah did some special about Michael Jackson being a pedophile. I don't really follow the news that too much. I mean, I do, but I also try to do it sparingly, because I believe that if you keep filling your spirit with that negativity and that division, you're going to start to manifest it, even if it's not your intention. You have to feed yourself with love and peace and joy. Like the Bible said, think on these things. So I take news and things like that in small doses, so that it does not supersede my spiritual nature, or doesn't quench my spiritual nature and put me more in a earthly or worldly mindset. So I did hear something about Oprah doing a special about Michael Jackson, which I don't really want to go into that, but I kind of agree with people saying that he's not here to defend himself. So it's really no real point in doing that. And those guys who say they were abused by him, if they're seeking healing, they can do that without being on national television. So yeah, he's not here to defend himself. I've always had some little questions about Michael Jackson, but because he's dead is neither here nor there, so it's really no point in dragging that out. So that's my very short opinion on that. But for me, I don't put anything past anything. I would never say, oh, so-and-so would never do that. I don't care how much I like the person. People are people. People have demons. People have skeletons in their closet. I'm not going to say, oh, because I like so-and-so, I don't think he has any skeletons in his closet. Who is he? Jesus? No, he's not. So I'm like, hey, I don't think he would do that. I like so and so, but I don't know. That's my go-to. I don't know. And I will leave myself open to getting more information to help me more further decide if he's right or wrong. Like, even if I get to a final conclusion, I say, you know what, I believe so-and-so is guilty, I still leave room in my mind for new information. I still look at that person as a child of God, whether they are guilty or not, who needs saving more than anything else. So even if they are guilty, I pray that God helps them. I pray that God helps them see the truth. I pray that God heals them, you know. So that's how I feel about that. It's just the thing that I do. So anyway, but so back to this whole thing. You have OJ, Michael Jackson, Bill Cosby, and you have a lot of black people on social media comparing this conviction of black men or this accusation of black men to a racial issue. Now, I understand that it could be a racial issue. It could. In some ways it is. But the point is, the truth is more important than that. Just because white people might have killed black people and it's okay now for OJ to kill, come on, like, that is wicked. How can you justify the possibility that he may have slaughtered a woman and say it's okay because white people did it to us? That is evil, and I'm just going to say it just like that. That's not right. Those people have souls, and nobody can do wrong and justify it. You cannot. Now, you can say, this is the reason why I did it, but that doesn't make what you did okay. It just helps you identify why you did it so that you can change, so that you can be better. And so, even the Hugh Hefner thing. Okay, Hugh Hefner is just as, I don't want to say he's just as wrong as R. Kelly, but if Hugh Hefner had all these women in his house and R. Kelly has all these women in his house, so why we accuse R. Kelly of sexual deviance and we didn't accuse Hugh Hefner? The truth is, they're both are sexual deviants. They're just doing it differently. That is not how God created things to be. God did not create a man to be in his house, be surrounded by young multitude of women for sex. It is the same thing. Nobody gets a pass. It doesn't matter if you're rich or white, poor or black, rich or black, poor and white. What is important is right and wrong. It wasn't okay when Hugh Hefner did it. It's just that our society accepted it more because these women were of age and gave consent and were okay with it. That doesn't mean in God's eyes it is right. That just means it's acceptable in our worldly context. But for R. Kelly, the thing with R. Kelly is, not only is the accusation being made that he is just not having consensual, like, he doesn't really have these women's consent. That's the difference. Because they're saying that he is brainwashing these girls and into staying with him, and he's actually abusing them, and that he's messing with underage girls. But again, it's still sexual deviance. If that is what he's doing, it doesn't make it right or wrong in comparison to Hugh Hefner. They both are wrong for different reasons. It's just that we as a people have made consensuality the line between criminal activity and not criminal activity. And so it just really bothers me when I hear black people making these comparisons as if it is okay with some black men to do the wrong thing and get away with it because white people have done it and got away with it. No, everybody who does wrong needs to be held accountable. It doesn't have anything to do with their color. And God is not interested in color. He does not change his judgment because you're white. He does not change his judgment because you're black. God has a standard of right and wrong. We all have to live up to it. We all are judged by it and held accountable for it at the end of our lifetime. So I don't like to see that kind of stuff. I think it's very bad. And just imagine being the mother, say, of Nicole Simpson. And you hear that black people are saying it's okay for O.J. Simpson to have killed your child because white people. I mean, that's really harsh, you know. And we have to have more compassion for people and what they're going through, regardless of our own personal struggles with some certain things. As Christians, we have to have compassion and stuff for what people are going through, despite what's going on in society and things like that. I always say, I care about what's going on in society, but I'm not invested in what's going on in society. What's going on in society does not move me one way or the other, because my investment is in God and His Word and His Spirit and His eternity. Everything that's going on in this world is perverted, is damaged, and God is trying to fix it. So if you invest yourself in damaged and broken things, you become something that needs to be fixed, not a vessel that can help fix those things. And so I'm not invested in anything that's going on in this world. My heart and my mind is not invested in anything that's going on in this world. I say, God, what do you want me to do to help? That's what I say. And so, you know, a lot of times I can't help because I'm stuck in the house with 5 kids. But the point is not to get too wrapped up into things that's going on in this world. And so that was the first thing I wanted to talk about. Like I said in the part 2 of the video, I don't like when black people do that. Another thing is I wanted to address is one of the reasons, because a lot of the supporters of R. Kelly that are claiming his innocence are women. And I find this very ironic, because you would think if he was sexually abusing women, if there was even a possibility that he was sexually abusing women, one of the main advocates against him would be women, right? So the reason why, actually, when women support him, it makes it look like maybe he didn't do anything, because if he did, why would a woman support him? Like, women should be on women's side, right? So the thing that I wanted to point out in that, and this is just my opinion, it's not really like my unveiling the spirit thing. It is a little bit, but it's more so based in my opinion as opposed to like the word. So I would say this. I think that the reason why a lot of women would support a man accused of sexually abusing other women without knowing for sure or not if he actually did it is because a lot of these women have been sexually abused themselves. I can't speak for all other communities, but I know that sexual abuse is rampant in the black community, especially among young girls, especially girls that have grown up in fatherless homes, because other men see them as a target. I cannot even, and I don't even want to begin to tell you how many grown men approached me when I was 14, 15, 16 years old for sex, and I was a kid. Like, I mean, it is just, like I said, I don't want to go into it, but I know this is an experience that a lot of other black women have had. Now, my dad was in my mom and dad divorced when I was like 9 or 10 years old, but it was when I got in my teens, like I said, 14, 15, 16, that men started approaching me. So as far as they knew, my dad wasn't in the house, you know. And so I think I think a man will still try to go after your child even if you're in the house, but a man being in the house does become a kind of deterrent for choosing your victim, so to speak, or who is more vulnerable to you. And so I think not only as a lot of women, especially black women, experience some form of sexual abuse when they were young, but they have done what you will call like a Stockholm syndrome type of reaction to it, is that they end up feeling like what happened to them was not really that bad. You know, it may have started off that way, or the guy was nice to them. Maybe he brought them ice cream or a new pair of shoes or something like that. Or they grew up to start having their own sexual experiences, and then that one kind of fade into the background. And I talk about this in book 4 of my God, Why Am I Not Married series. I talk a lot about sex and how women misinterpret and misunderstand the point of sex, often due to the influences and how they are introduced to sex. So we start seeing sex from this kind of perverted or backwards frame of thinking. And I think that because a lot of women have been exposed to sexual abuse growing up, they see somebody like R. Kelly, who is possibly a predator, they minimize what he has done because what happened to them was minimized. And they're like, I even saw a post where they were showing the girl from R. Kelly, the video, the old videos, what he went to court about, and it said she's doing fine. So, like, basically, let's not make a big deal about what happened to her, because look at her, she's doing great. She had this big smile on her face, whatever. That is nonsense. Whatever happened to her then is not going to be on her face. It's in her spirit. It's going to be in her heart. It's going to be in decisions that she makes when it comes to men and sexual problems that she has afterwards. Taking a snapshot of her face while she's smiling is not even a 1% indication of the damage that was done to her. So we tend to downplay sexual abuse in the Black community. Women do, because of the sexual abuse that happened to them and got downplayed. Sometimes this happens because you don't know how to process what happens to you, and a lot of times you just end up putting it in this box to make it so it's not traumatic. Because if you really think about, oh, so-and-so actually violated me and he had no right to do that to me, and he caused this long trail of hurt and pain and bad decisions after that, it opens the door to a lot of feelings that people just don't want to feel. Nobody wants to be a victim. Nobody wants to feel a victim. Nobody wants to feel violated. So you push it away. No, it wasn't that bad. I can handle it. I'm okay. Because if it's not, then some things need to be dealt with, and people don't really like to deal with those things. Not only that, they don't know how to deal with those things. And I talk about that in book 3, of my books about healing, in mental and spiritual healing. And so I really think that a lot of these Black women, that are, and women in general, because I believe sexual abuse is all over the world. I just can only speak on the Black side of it because I'm Black, but I believe it's happening everywhere. I mean, you hear in different countries, things like that, they have sex slave trade and things like that. So it's everywhere. But I think that as far as like this, people, all these women back in R. Kelly, because in not wanting to kind of confront the fact that he may have been a sexual deviant or predator or whatever, it's because they themselves were sexually abused. And so we need to, and this is what I said before, we need to deal with the issue, because if you don't deal with your own sexual abuse, now you have a sexual abuser, now you're giving him a pass, the cycle continues. But when you deal with it, the cycle can be broken. You can say, you know what, this happened to me, it shouldn't happen to anybody else, it happened to R. Kelly, he needs help, he needs healing, and start to frame things in that mindset to promote healing and stuff. But you have to deal with the truth. You can't deny the truth and think that you're going to get to some different results, because if anything, this type of stuff is going to continue, whether it's R. Kelly, whether it's Bill Cosby or whoever else. Things have to be brought into the open. They have to be dealt with. People have to confess them. That is how we find ourselves to healing. So I want to pray for all the people, women in general, the women that say R. Kelly abused them. I will pray that if they were abused, they find healing. If they weren't, that God helps them to, admit the truth. I will pray that R. Kelly is, God helps him deal with any issues that he has. If he doesn't have issues, I pray that God gives him the strength to rise above this and hold on until God can come through for him. I pray for the women that are backing him, that if they have sexual abuse in their own past, that they deal with that instead of covering it up, just like they're trying to cover up R. Kelly stuff. And if they were not sexually abused and they are backing R. Kelly, that they realize that there's a possibility that he may be guilty, and they leave their heart and minds open to receiving the truth. And even for women that are not backing R. Kelly and that they are totally against him and want him thrown under the bus, that they also make the connection within themselves that it has a lot to do with maybe their own experiences, and that they should not transfer those experiences over to R. Kelly and deal with their own stuff, and then pray that just the truth comes out in general, and then everybody is healed and everybody is okay. So that is how I see things. That is how I reveal the spirit, so to speak, behind different issues, and kind of bring a Christian perspective to stuff. And I just hope anybody gets anything. If you got anything out of this, I hope you did get something out of it. And if you have any questions or comments below, you can go ahead and leave them. And if I feel the need to make another video in response to anything anybody says, I will. But I will say this. I am not going to, if anybody is being just really mean and evil, I'm not going to respond to that. I'm not going to engage those people and things like that. I love open and honest conversations, but I require respect in order to do that. I don't care if you have a different opinion of me. I like to learn from other people and their opinions and how they see things, and add it to my collection of ideas, but it has to be done in respect. So if you want to say anything to me, please do it in respect. Leave a comment. Do it respectfully. It doesn't matter if you agree with me or not. If you're being unnecessarily mean and nasty, I just will not respond. So actually, what I will do is pray for you. And if you don't want anybody praying for you, then I suggest you don't leave any comments down, some nasty comments down below. But anyway, it's okay. You guys have a great, blessed day. I'll be making some more videos, and we can continue this another time. So thank you so much. You have a blessed day, and talk to you later. Bye-bye.